I like Minecraft, but I also like anime. And in the cross-section between the two, there's anime mods. For me, though, there's just one problem with this, and that is, I am not a massive weeb. And I remembered a wonderful anime called Dr. Stone. It's peak, watch it if you've not. Basically, it's just the real world. Just really realistic, guy makes science and does cool stuff. And I found a mod like that. It's called TerraFirmaGreg. And you basically get the funny blue crystal. It's stupidly addictive. And I can't stop playing it, so I thought, you know, I might as well make a YouTube video on it because it's really fun. And yeah, that's what this is. So, join me in this series to explore Minecraft's most realistic mod that for some reason reminds me a lot of Dr. Stone. I know, that might just be me. So, funny story. I lost the very first recording session footage that I did. So if the previous bits didn't already kill viewer attention, this definitely will. I'm gonna reenact it, so don't worry. And it's only about an hour, so not much is lost. But yeah. Hope you enjoy. So, I spawn in, and the first thing I think is, oh my god, a structure! So I'm like, yeah, let's go over there. So I walk over to the structure, and inside, I find a couple of vases, some basic moulds for casting, and a large vessel, which acts as a preserver of food, because in TerraFirmaCraft, your food can actually go rotten and spoil, so you need to preserve it, so that could be in either like, salting, or, you know, drying, or cooking, or, you know, keeping it stored well, so you can actually have it for a long enough time, and this will help a lot with that. You can also use it like a backpack, which I always forget, so I never actually use it as a backpack, even though I've already got it on me. So I loot the structure, and continue on my way. After collecting the loot from the structure, I walk forwards a bit more, and I kid you not, before I even find a single piece of stone on the ground, I find copper. This is ridiculous. Copper is much better than stone, and it can be used to make better tools than stone. The downside is it will require more processing than if you just take two rocks and bash them together. This is because we have to heat up the copper and melt it. Now, you may be asking, how do we actually smelt something? Like vanilla Minecraft, we've got to make charcoal using logs. But we're not going to get a furnace now. This is Minecraft's most realistic mod after all, modelled off of the great Dr. Stone itself. Don't cite that. So, we need to chop some trees. Now, we can't use the copper we've picked up, so we've still got to go find some stone. So I keep on walking for a little bit, and I run into, not stone, but tin. It's like 2 meters in front of me. This is ridiculous. This does not happen. It is not meant to happen. You are meant to have a copper age, then a bronze age. You're not meant to skip straight to the bronze. But I can do that because I've got tin just right there, so I might as well. Finally, after walking about 100-200 blocks from spawn and finding two of the most important early game metals, I find stone. So I pick up the stone and I smash it into, I make a quick axe and I chop down a tree. So after chopping down the tree, we get various drops from it. So that's more sticks, some saplings and some logs, and I chop down a few more trees. I then move back over to this space I found the copper earlier and be sure to clear that area and make some copper. I'm going to make a temporary base over the copper mine, which will give me easy access to the copper. The thing is, it's not a great permanent base location because it's 2,000 blocks up north, and this is quite bad, as when winter sets in, most of my crops are not going to be able to grow. So later on, probably in the first winter or so, I will be moving my base down south so I can have growing crops all year round. But I'm going to need to make a bed before then so I can set my spawn. Because if I die, I did not want to walk that far. That would be painful. So I take the logs which I've gathered and I dig a little hole for them. Now I can't actually put it straight into the ground, which is what I do previously because this ground has mud, and for some reason that stops what I'm about to do, which is really annoying, and I wish I did not waste multiple stacks of logs doing this. But anyway, I dig up some dirt, put it on the mud because for some reason I can't walk 2 feet to go to the dirt to put my logs down, but you know, there we go. So I toss a torch onto the log pile, and as soon as that goes on fire, I cover it up with some dirt, and this is how we get our charcoal. So next, I go and dig up some clay and make various moulds for what I actually need to cast my copper into. As we can't just bash it into place like with the stones, we've actually got to, you know, pour it. It's horizontal smelting and get the charcoal. So I make a pit kiln, just a couple of straw, a couple of logs, throw a torch out, and that in 8 minutes that'll be done. So I've got multiple moulds for the copper. The native copper, which are the surface samples that I picked up earlier, I smelt that inside the vessel, inside one of the pit kilns, and shove it into a mould. Then let the mould cool, and there we go, I've got my pick and my saw. But the saw is actually a very important tool in TerraFirmaGreg, as you can't make planks normally, but you can with the saw. So that means I've got a crafting table now, and I can use the crafting table to make some supports. Minecraft may not have gravity, but TerraFirmaGreg, oh it does. So these supports will actually stop cave-ins occurring, so I won't die. That's fun. Also, I've realised something minor after making my base on top of a cave, and that might be, if at one point any of these blocks fall, my entire base might collapse. Yeah, maybe not the brightest idea, but it's just a temporary place, like, you know, how bad could it be? So, I mine the various forms of copper, and before I leave, I'm sure to mine around all faces but one of a block, and that will give me its raw form, as normally when you mine a block it just gives you the pebbles, but I actually want a raw block. So, using the raw stone I mined earlier, also using 7 charcoal, I make something called a charcoal forge. This is a much easier form of the pit kiln I used earlier, but its downside is that it takes longer to smelt larger batches than a pit kiln does. But it's slightly easier for me to do, as with a pit kiln, you know, if I leave and come back, and if I miss the timing, the contents of the vessel will still be exposed. This will mean that if I get back too late, those contents I've been smelting for all that time, gone. Effort I spent, wasted. That is not good. So the charcoal forge is just slightly easier. But that's not its main perks. Its main perks is, as the name implies, it can be used as a forge. So I can weld ingots together. And as soon as I get 2 ingots hot enough to weld, I take them onto the anvil, place them down, shift right click, and boom, I've got something called a double ingot. I can then put it in the barrel next to me and cool it down. I then take 7 of the double copper ingots and shove them together, and boom, got a copper anvil. I then repeat the same process for bronze. Now we come to a bit of a stopping block. We have rapidly progressed through the Stone Age, the Copper Age, and we are now at the start of the Bronze Age. But I want to push it further. So to do that, we're going to have to go to the Iron Age. Now luckily, I found an iron mine just not too far away. So I make my way over there, and I dig straight down because when's that ever ended badly? And I start mining, and I find some gold. A bit of iron too, which is good. I found gold. And more gold. And more gold. This much gold? I don't need that much. I need iron. So I spend much longer in the mines than I actually end up normally having to do to get all the iron I need, which is really annoying. And I've got to go back to another one. So, safe to say, I am not going back to that mine again. I'm going to find a different iron mine, as they are literally everywhere. So upon my journey to the iron mine, I actually find another structure, which is really nice. And to actually smelt the iron that I've been mining up, I will need to make something called a bloomery. Now a bloomery is very simple, it's a multi-block, and the main bulk of the multi-block is made up of stone bricks. And, what's that house made of? Why, it's stone bricks. So I made sure to take a number of those, because I don't feel like making them. Upon making it back, I've got all the bricks for the bloomery, but I need the bloomery itself. This requires something called double bronze plates. Now, I'm going to take you through a bit of a process here. We need 8 of these double bronze plates. To make one double bronze plate, we need to weld 2 bronze plates together. So, we need 16 bronze plates. To make one bronze plate, we need to work a double bronze ingot. This means we need to get 32 bronze ingots for one bloomery. So, I construct the bloomery. I chuck equal parts iron and charcoal into the bloomery, close it, turn it on, and then we're starting to get iron. So the thing about the bloomery is it won't actually just give us iron, it will get bloom piles, which we will then need to use a pickaxe to break apart to get raw iron blooms. We then need to process the raw iron blooms into refined iron blooms, and then further work them into wrought iron ingots. I spend a long time whacking the iron. I'm whacking. And eventually, I've got all the raw iron I need. I then make the raw iron anvil using the same process as described for the previous 2 anvils. I then make various tools and armour out of the wrought iron. In the span of 1 episode, we are now firmly in the Age of Iron, and to progress further, we will need to make a blast furnace and make the wrought iron harder into steel. So to smelt the steel, we actually need stronger bricks of fire clay. Now we get fire clay through kaolinite powder, which is made from kaolin clay, which spawns over 10,000 blocks away. We will have to go on a massive trek, going all the way through TerraFirmaGreg to explore, and this is the major early game hurdle that everyone who plays TerraFirmaGreg dreads. But I'm afraid all of that will have to come in the next episode. So that's the first episode of my new series on TerraFirmaGreg. If you would like to keep on watching, please do all the YouTube things down below, as that is greatly appreciated, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you, and have a fantastic day.